Hi everybody, back for another part of digestion with you. So the next part we're going to talk about, which is the last part, haha, no pun intended, is the last part of the ileum, and then we're going to talk about the colon. So the ileum, the third part of the small intestine, is responsible for the bile salts most definitely, and B12 absorption. Now, in order for B12 to be absorbed, we have to have a lot of good bacteria hanging out in that digestive tract, and we have to have it coating the inside of the intestines. Now, on the inside of all portions of the intestines, there are finger-like projections called villi, and then on those finger-like projections, there are microvilli. So we actually have the surface area of a tennis court for absorption. So we have to make sure those are all coated with good bacteria. So, you know, probiotics, so we can get some B12 absorption and get that rolling and get that in there. Now, after it leaves the ileum, it begins to go to the intestines. It goes to the ascending portion of the intestine, up through that to the hepatic flexure, across the transverse colon, down the splenic flexure, down to the sigmoid colon, and as my granddaughter would say, out the poop chute. So if we don't have enough moisture, so the colon in the large intestine is where we get all the exchange of water. That's why it's super important to be hydrated. The water then helps that compacted fecal matter move through the system. So one of the first things we do in natural care is, people might say, oh, I'm constipated. One of the first things we're going to do is check how much water they're getting. Because the body is super cool, and what it will do is, if you get enough water, it will actually begin to use those wave-like motions, which are called peristalsis, all the way from, you know, the small intestine, the first part of that, all the way through to the rectum, to push that stuff through, that fecal matter. So if you're not getting enough water, you're not getting enough good digestion, because you're not getting things moved through, and water also helps carry nutrients in certain situations. So we want to make sure that by the time you chew your food, you digest your food in your stomach, it gets broken down in the first half called the duodenum, the second portion, the jejunum, the third portion, the ileum, and then it goes through all those portions of the large intestine, that it's properly hydrated so that we can get nutrient exchange, and that then passes into the system. And then the last part is the part you actually see, which gets dumped into the toilet. Now, it is never good if you're looking at what's in the toilet to see pieces of food. That would be a strong indicator your digestion is off, except for corn. Nobody digests corn. So if you are having problems with your digestion, you're seeing undigested food particles in the toilet, you've got some digestive issues somewhere. So if you want to have good digestion, which equals great health, see Dr. Ray and feel better today. Thanks all for playing the digestion game.